So let's kick off. So welcome everybody. Thanks very much for joining today's webinar. It's my absolute pleasure to welcome Ian Russell from Pandora, who's Director of Delivery and PMO, I believe is sort of official title, Ian, from Pandora globally. Myself, I'm Global VP at Instore. So I'll hand over to Ian in a minute to introduce himself, but the webinar theme today is around acceleration of digital, particularly different ways of shopping online, live video, and what's happened during the pandemic. And then Ian and I are going to have a discussion about the strategies that Pandora have adopted, how it's going, and some of the futures and some of the other sort of technologies that are out there in the marketplace, and potentially what sort of post-pandemic's looking like. So with that, let me hand over to Ian just to introduce himself and his background.
So thanks for joining everybody. Yeah, I'm Ian Russell. I'm with you here from our head office in Copenhagen. So my role at Pandora is to help drive forward our digital business strategy over the next 3 to 5 years. My background is in multi-channel and omni-channel e-commerce in the retail space. So I've been working closely with Roger and the team at Go Instore for the last 6 to 9 months as one of the elements of our digital strategy, and look forward to talking to you about it this afternoon.
So before we get into the sort of discussion between myself and Ian, we've been working with Pandora for, I think it's coming up to 6 months now, maybe a little bit longer, Ian. But I know you're live across a number of markets. So for those joining us on the call, and many of you, some are existing Go Instore customers, many aren't. So we thought we'd just give you a quick 2-minute video of what Go Instore actually is. So if I can just ask Louisa to play the video to put this into context for us. Thank you.
So the customer is browsing the website just like normal, looking at products. They will see our CTA, our call to action roundel. They'll click on that, click start, allow the permission of their microphone, and they'll start to connect to a live advisor. The live advisor will answer, introduce themselves, and show products. The live advisor can also add products directly into the customer's basket, just like this. Once the customer's clicked add to basket, that's now successfully in their cart, ready to be checked out. Then once the conversation's finished and the call's ended, both the advisor and the customer will receive a survey which they can fill out.
Thank you. So there's a little bit more to it than that, obviously. Normally you get to see a product in close-up in HD with a real advisor, joining a Pandora sales advisor in a store. They'll be able to show you multiple products and so forth. And then the other half of the solution is we surface business intelligence back to you as a customer after the event. And we could probably talk a little bit about that with Ian as we're going through it. So to kick this off, Ian, it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts about, I know Pandora have think very creatively about new opportunities, ideas, and so forth. But it'd be interesting to know how things changed for you guys between 2019 and 2020, as it did for all of us.
Yeah, well, I guess we've all been on the same journey, haven't we? When the pandemic started, it was news to everybody, and no one really knew, how things were going to pan out. And obviously, as it became clear that this was going to be something that was going to be with us for a significant period of time, the real realization from Pandora coming into the spring and the summer was that, like for many retailers, the last 3 months of the year, October through December, are our busiest trading period. Particularly for Pandora, we go through, lots of events and important things going on in that 3 months, leading up to Christmas and New Year. So, the realization was, if the pandemic is going to be with us in Q4, customers are going to want to shop in a different way. They're going to be anxious about going to stores. They're not going to want to queue. They're not going to want to interact with other people in the way that we were used to. And this is going to drive a change in what customers want to do, and particularly how they want to interact online. So we started up a program called the Q4 Experience Program in June. And the objective of the program was really to work out how we could help our customers shop more safely and securely during the pandemic. And our approach was very much to sort of ideate by talking to customers, talking to our store staff. And we came up with a backlog of something like 140 ideas, different things that we could do to help our customers. We then did some research. We did some low fidelity sort of sketches and ideation, and then we narrowed it down to around 11 different solutions that we wanted to build for our customers during our peak trading period. So between July and September, we designed and built those solutions, including what we've done here with Go Instore. We rolled them out by the end of September, and then we successfully operated them, through our peak period in Q4. And of course, the pandemic's still with us, so these solutions are, equally relevant now. In fact, with various trading limitations around store closures, the need to book appointments, the solutions are just as relevant as they were in Q4. Obviously, the pattern and the volume is different, but yeah, it's been a very interesting journey for us, and one that will sustain our digital strategy beyond the pandemic.
Yeah, that's interesting. Just before I follow up on that, I just wanted to say, anybody online, please leave any questions that you've got in the chat, and we'll leave enough time at the end so that we can go through it for either Ian or I, and then we'll go through all the questions at the back end of this webinar. Yeah, I mean, to that point, Ian, it's a really good point you make, and I hear that almost every day of the week. People ask questions around, well, people have responded. We've been around about 6 years as a business, so the whole video experience and live shopping isn't anything new to us. It's clearly accelerated dramatically during 2020, but the question we get is, will we ever get back to some semblance of normality, and whatever the new normal might look like, and how might that influence your omni-channel and digital strategy? I know I'm asking you a big crystal ball question there, but it's just interested in your views.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about this a lot as part of our digital strategy, and of course, none of us know, how we're all going to behave, post the pandemic. I think what we do know, and this isn't unique to, Pandora or retail, is that we're all becoming accustomed to doing things remotely, on video calls like this. We're all becoming accustomed to maybe being a bit more structured about how we organise our time, as opposed to just going into the office or going to the local shopping centre or mall. So I think our point of view at Pandora is that very much, some of the things that our customers have expected during the pandemic will persist. Customers don't want to go to a busy store and wait 45 minutes to see a sales associate to look at some jewellery. They want to book an appointment. They do want to be able to pick something up in the store and not have to wait 20 minutes by queuing. They want a pick-up point. They do want an immersive experience online and be clear on what they do want to buy and not want to buy when they go to the store. So I think we believe that some of the patterns that we're seeing now during the pandemic will persist after the pandemic.
So you might see a combination of maybe the kind of the shoulder tap, Go Instore, video assisted live shopping, and potentially appointments in store as part of the customer journey moving forwards.
Yeah, exactly, hand in hand. So the journey could start online. With a video appointment or using our virtual trial, which is our augmented reality, and then flip to a customer going to the store. Or it could be the other way around. The customer could go in the store and want to use our augmented reality if the product is not in stock to see it on your hand or your neck, which we can do now with the augmented reality before then ordering it. And if it's not in store, the customer can be able to order it in the store, either for collection back at the store at a later date, or to deliver at home. So, we move from the digital world to the physical world, back to the digital, and vice versa, and it becomes more seamless.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, with consumer behaviour, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen in the last year compared to previous years?
Well, I guess what's accentuated our thinking with the pandemic is that, we honestly believe that buying jewellery, and not just Pandora jewellery, but buying jewellery is very much an inspirational purchase. People want to touch it, feel it, see it on. And so the challenge has been, well, how can we achieve that when the stores are shut, or when customers don't want to go to the store because they're worried about queuing or social distancing? And so, the immersive experience online, being able to see jewellery through a high fidelity video call, which is what we can do with Go Instore, our augmented reality virtual try-on, our bracelet builder, which has allowed you to bespoke what you're going to buy. All of these things help the customers sort of immerse themselves digitally in the product, before they either buy online or go into the store. You know, I think these things will all persist with customers, you know, being more comfortable about using immersive experiences online before they either buy online or go to the store, you know, to try on and then buy.
It's a really good point, and your point at the beginning of what you said about efficiency. I mean, I think we've all become more kind of efficient with our time doing these kind of calls, video calls, whatever it happens to be. But the point about kind of making the customer journey more efficient, because they can build a bespoke piece of jewelry with the charms or whatever it happens to be, or have a consultation about a watch, make their decisions so if they do eventually go into a store, the time is not wasted. They've minimized the amount of time they spend doing it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, not only time will tell, but you know, that obviously that's the pattern that is now happening through the pandemic, and I think that we're all going to behave differently after, and you know, some of those behaviours will persist, especially in busy times. You know, I'm not sure if everybody wants to go back to, you know, standing in long queues, you know, pandemic or no pandemic, and now people are realising that with digital technology, you know, video appointments, appointment booking, virtual queuing, the ability to sort of see jewellery and try jewellery on remotely, you know, avoids the need just to go and queue.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm anticipating a few questions in the chat later on the Q&A, but I was just thinking it might be worth giving a couple of minutes for the attendees here to just kind of explain how we work together with you to optimize the service and measure the usage, the sales, the conversion rates, and so forth, because there's clearly a lot more to this than just standing up a video and a camera. So as people could see from the demo, it's one thing clicking off the website and getting an instant video connection. It's another thing collecting the data, optimizing it, and making it work, and measuring the ROI. So it'd be interesting, you know, as much as you feel comfortable sharing it, and just high level how we work together to kind of optimize this, and how we continue to work together to optimize it. And that might be interesting for the people here to understand a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the interesting thing that we've learned, you know, through the sort of the time we've worked with Go Instore is that, you know, if you think about the typical shop setup, you know, a shop has a number of sales assistants or style advisors, and they do their job. You know, what measurements do they have in that job? Well, of course, you know, we have MI around the number of customers coming into the store, and the number of sales, and the type of products being purchased, and so on. But what we don't have is time dimensions. You know, so how long does it take to serve a customer, and how many customers does each sales associate see? And compared to how many customers that sales associate sees, what is the conversion rate for those customers? What is the satisfaction level of those customers? You know, all of those things are sort of things that are difficult to measure in a store environment. And, you know, one of the reasons we chose Go Instore was that, you know, we weren't sure at the outset whether, you know, post the pandemic, the model here was to have people in what we call a dark store or a contact center, you know, dedicated to providing advice and styling assistance, or whether, you know, it was better to have people in the store, you know, even to the point where, yeah, people will become familiar with their local styling assistant because they've been into the store, and then they can have them on a video call. And so, you know, what we realized with Go Instore is we get all this rich data that allows us to understand, you know, what is the average time of a call, and how does that differ between France, Germany, Italy, UK, US, and what is the conversion rate there, and what drives the conversion rate. And then satisfaction wise, you know, you can leave feedback, and we get a lot of tremendously good and positive feedback about the service, you know, and so we're learning a lot all the time about how to, you know, provide advice and support and assistance to customers in a way that you can't naturally get through the store where you're not recording all this data. So the data side of it has been extremely valuable for us to understand, you know, how our remote shopping assistants, as we call them, operate, and what is the best optimal model here for Pandora, you know, and for customers. And of course, you know, things like, you know, the good thing about the data is that we can see the peaks and troughs. So yeah, at certain times of the day, we need more people. Other times of the day, the remote shopping assistants are underutilized. You know, and that's just the natural pattern of online. which you don't think about in the store. Yeah, there's busy times and there's quiet times and people have lunch breaks and so on, but you don't measure it, so it's been fascinating to see all the data and understand how we can sort of optimize the experience.
Yeah, and it kind of makes me think as well what you said at the beginning of our talk here about jewelry being a very personalized thing. It's a very personal kind of purchase. And I guess it's interesting to hear you say about some of the customer comments that are left and the very positive comments. I mean, do you feel that because it's face-to-face and you can build a relationship with somebody in store, is that building a kind of a loyalty and a personal connection between a store assistant and a customer?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and I don't know the answer at the moment because we are looking at different channels. So text messaging and device, if you like, chatbot,
yeah,
video calls, but also telephone calls and all those different sort of channels, and then appointment booking as well. And I think it remains to be seen, if there's a real strong preference for our customers to do video calls over, using online chat or booking an appointment, doing a telephone call. I think it might vary sort of market by market. I mean, one of the interesting things we've been doing in Italy is using a similar thing to go in store, but actually we've been using WhatsApp. And it seems that it's very popular for customers to sort of start a conversation with a sales associate and then continue that conversation over a period of time, just like we all do with, sort of WhatsApp and messaging and so on. I.e., it's not just a one-off thing. And so even that as a pattern, somebody wants to be chatting to a sales associate over a few hours, they might be in the office or in between calls or whatever, so I think we're still sort of learning, what are the different patterns. I think the answer is probably going to be, there's no one sort of answer to this, right? It's giving customers all these options. You can book an appointment to go in store. You can book a video appointment online. You can do a video call. You can use chatbot or messaging. So I think the answer will be that all of these things should be available. And it's up to customers, which particular channel they prefer to use at any point in time.
Yeah, we see that across many of our customers. We see a blend. Somebody might start off on the website. They might have a quick question on live chat or whatever, and it's just a text. Do you have such and such in stock? Can I just confirm the price? And then they might say, okay, now I want a video call. Now I've found out. Let's click on the video. So
yeah, exactly.
It will vary.
The customer experience challenge, we are facing is how we can direct customers to the right channel. So, when we started out with Go in Store, we had a lot of very short calls. So we thought, hang on, this isn't right. You guys told us that, an advice call should be 4 or 5 minutes, but these calls are lasting a minute. And then when we dug into it, we realized that a lot of the calls were service calls. Where's my order? How do I make a return? So we have to work a little bit harder on the customer experience to make sure that customers know what channel to use for different things, right? If they want to know where their order is, or they want to know how to return something, or they want to know when they're going to get their refund, that doesn't need styling advice, right? That can be covered with a chatbot or online messaging, or by calling the contact center. So, we're working hard with you guys to make sure customers are clearer about what channel to use for what type of service they need.
Yeah, I mean, that is the only, I wouldn't say downside, but, of having multiple channels, you need to signpost people. Otherwise, they'll just click on the first thing that they see. And it might not necessarily be the right thing. So, but it's interesting. And I was thinking about, this whole moving between physical and digital, because, throughout this year into next year, hopefully, if things do start to return to normal, it's going to be very interesting, this whole physical to digital. And I'm just wondering what your views are as to, what sort of technologies and customer journeys do you envisage?
Yeah, and we've learned some interesting things this year. For example, in the US, a very popular service that we've introduced is, we call it curbside pickup. And obviously it's been stimulated by social distancing, stores being shut. And essentially, I order something on Pandora, and then I arrange to come and pick it up from the curb, i.e. outside the store, if the store's on a street, or even in the mall, if the store is in the mall at a pickup point. And it's become really popular because I can order it online, and I can literally drive to place A and then pick up my item. I can pay for it there, or I can pay for it earlier online, and then I'm done, right? And, you know, as a service, that could persist post the pandemic. You know, I want to pick my thing up and I want to do it quickly.
Yeah.
And that's been very popular in the States. And then, you know, in Europe, you know, I mentioned, you know, the WhatsApp approach, you know, which is proving very popular in Italy. And we've also got, you know, one or two solutions that are less tech savvy for customers that are not really comfortable checking out online, you know, just not familiar with it, you know, just cautious about doing it. And so we've introduced some very simple sort of pay by link methods where you can call the store, you can chat about a particular product. You can then say, yeah, I'd like to buy that. You get an email, you click on the link, and then you pay with your credit card. So, you know, I think the flexibility to be able to, you know, to browse and purchase in different ways is going to be important. And, you know, I mentioned the virtual queuing and the appointment booking. You know, I think once again, you know, we had some success with those when the stores were open. But now, you know, in the likes of the Netherlands and Germany, you can only go to a store if you book an appointment. It's the rules. And so, you know, we've introduced very rapidly appointment booking into all our stores in Germany and Netherlands. And it's proving very popular. Obviously, you have to do it. But once again, I think it's going to persist as a behavior that I don't want to go to the store and queue, right? I want to say, hey, I'm coming in at 10 o'clock, you know, have my item ready, or I want to look at bracelets or whatever it is, you know. So I think these things will persist.
And do you see a mixture of the physical appointments and video appointments? I know today you're doing the shoulder tap sort of 5-minute calls, but, you know, is there a space for video appointments as well in that, do you think?
Yeah, I think so, because I guess it's the confidence the customer has if they're using our virtual try-on, the augmented reality, or they're doing a video call to look at jewelry, whether that is then enough confidence for them to actually purchase. And, you know, you showed the add to basket feature, you know, which is proving pretty popular. So we are seeing that certainly, you know, in the current times with stores being shut, that once customers have been shown jewelry on a video call, they are keen to purchase there and then. Now, I don't think that will fully persist. I'm sure there'll be other customers that will say, well, that's great, but I really need to try it on. You know, I'll come into the store tomorrow. Can I book an appointment? So I think all of these things can be stitched together. You know, they're not, at the moment, you know, the speed to which we rolled them out was driven by, you know, the pandemic and the need to get solutions out there to help our customers. But going forward, I think, you know, we will, as part of our omni-channel strategy, stitch all these things together. So yeah, I start out with the video appointment. That's great. I'm now gonna buy it, but I'm gonna click and collect it. And actually, I want to pick it up from the curbside. And actually, now I've thought about it, I do need something else. So I'm going to come into the store. Oh, you haven't got it in the store. That's fine, but we can order it for you for home delivery. So I think all of these things, you know, will get stitched together as a bunch of journeys going across physical and digital.
Yeah. So literally, it could start off with somebody browsing the website, landing on the product page that attracts them, having a quick video call and saying, right, I'm 99% there, but I want to come into the store and physically see it, try it on, talk to a consultant. So they book an appointment online, come and see you, and then curbside, click and collect, or whatever it is. So it's like the whole blend, the whole step.
Plus, you know, actually, I prefer this other item. Oh, we haven't got that. That's fine. We can order it for you, and you can either come back in 3 days' time, or, you know, we can have it delivered to your home.
Yeah. And you could even run a quick video to show the product physically if they wanted to see it.
Well, yeah, I mean, we, you know, in terms of the future of the store, you know, we are starting to look at that as part of our digital strategy and think about, you know, a different layout for the store, you know, different technologies that will allow customers to immerse themselves in things like virtual try-on or on large screens in the store. Self-service, right? I know what I want, right? I just need to come in and buy it. So, you know, I think we are looking at, you know, how we're going to lay out our stores in the future, how the digital technology will be deployed, and not two systems, not, oh yeah, we've got a website and we've got a separate, you know, point of sale or in-store system. We've got one omni-channel system, and it's the same system, it's the same customer experience with you online or in the store.
No, interesting. And do you see, I know it might be difficult to measure, but do you see any particular demographic using this service in terms of the comfort with live video versus, you know, what they used to do physically come into a store?
Well, I think it's hard to tell because of the pandemic, right? Because
Yeah.
we all have to behave in the same way.
Yeah.
Once we get post the pandemic, it'll be quite interesting to see. I mean, if we look at the video calling, we see quite a difference in the call duration market to market. In some markets, the calls are a lot longer, and it seems that our customers in those countries, they want more of a conversation. Right? They want to look at things in a deeper way. So I think it's only when we get post the pandemic we'll really be able to have a look at the demographic and really understand, what the different behaviours are in terms of, in each of our markets and the types of customers.
And some of the emerging technologies that we've seen coming out and people trying new ideas. It's like one of our customers last week, Currys Dixon's, started using broadcast. So this is kind of, I suppose you call it social selling, but a bit like a little QVC shopping channel to help promote product, to get celebrity endorsement or influencers. I mean, what are your thoughts around that? And do you see that as something that, might be considered?
Well, Pandora is, choosing Pandora, it's an inspirational, aspirational purchase, right? And where do you get that inspiration from, right? It might just be that you love the product, and we've got a lot of customers that buy lots of goods with Pandora because they're committed to the product. Others are influenced by what they see online, and increasingly so. Social media and online channels are a big influence, aren't they, on
Yeah, exactly.
particularly the younger generations in terms of where they spend their money. So yeah, Pandora does invest in those things today, and I'm sure we will continue to.
Yeah, interesting. So I'm just going to have a quick look in the Q&A and see. So there's a question here from Lisa Decker. I think this is going to be one for you, Ian. It says, how is in-store staffing contemplated to ensure web customers do not distract associates from in-store customers?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question, and it's one that we haven't got an answer for yet. When we started out with Go in Store, we wanted to use the dark store approach and have remote shopping assistants, dedicated in a dark store, because we were really concerned about the availability of store staff to take video calls when they've got customers in the store. What are you supposed to do when you've got 3 or 4 customers in the queue waiting to see you, and then you get a ping on your iPad to say that there's a customer wanting a video call? Our initial thinking was that we're better off having dark stores. But the trade-off on that is that we've seen from the pattern, there are times where our remote shopping assistants in the dark store are overloaded. They can't take all the calls. And there's other times where there's not enough calls coming through. And so then the store model, could be the balance between the two. So the honest answer is, we are experimenting with both models in terms of the dark store and sales associates in store. When we're in quieter times, it's more feasible for the store staff to take the calls. If we get back to a normal trading condition in Q4 this year, then it's not sustainable for the store staff to take the calls unless you bring in more staff, and then of course you've got the economics of that. So what the good thing about the Go in Store software is that we can switch our distribution. So we can have store staff available to take calls, and if they're busy, they can toggle their switch to say they're busy, and then we can flip it to the dark store. So I think we do, the technology will allow us to sort of moderate the capacity against the demand.
Yeah. So you've got to judge it as you go, haven't you? I guess as well, as it ramps up and you see the data, and you see, as you said earlier on, if you see from the business intelligence, you can see how many calls were missed or what the web traffic was, if you have people available, and then you can apply staffing to it appropriately. So again, if people are busy with a store colleague, they just click the app to be unavailable. So I think that's the answer for Lisa.
Yes.
I saw another question was around, do you see an impact on reduced returns through using this kind of service? If people get to see the products in advance, you'd think it would impact returns, but have you got any evidence to suggest that's the case?
Yeah, too early really, and our returns capability is still building in terms of the data that we capture, and so no real direct correlation yet between the virtual try-on and the remote shopping assistant and our returns. But I think it should, right? Because if you're more confident in your purchase because you've tried it on remotely or you've had a video call, then I think it's less likely when you get your purchase, whether it be online or whether you go to the store, whether you are going to return it. So yeah, I would hope that there would be a correlation over time and a reduction in returns.
Yeah, it would seem logical, wouldn't it? Yeah. Another one here. Do Pandora have plans to do live shopping broadcasts at all? I think you probably touched on this earlier on. I guess this is more nothing's off the table, long range.
Yeah,
probably.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I can't really sort of comment on our digital marketing strategy, but I think that the pandemic has opened up all channels now, as very popular channels for our customers to use. So yeah, I'm sure if it's viewed as something that our customers want and we think is viable, then we'll look at it.
Another question. Well, there's another question just popped up about returns. Has your returns rate fluctuated with your stores closed? Aside from augmented reality, what other tactics have you launched to minimise return rates?
Yeah, I mean, in normal trading conditions, you can return to the store. You can return, to the warehouse if you bought online. I think we haven't really changed anything around that process. What we will look at is just easier ways for customers to return products. So the idea maybe of a returns area or portal or somewhere where you can, especially in busy times, you can take your items back and quickly, get them returned, refunded without needing to queue. That's not a new thing, right? Some retailers do that. We've never sort of seen that as a driver in terms of what our customers need, but we are starting to look at that and starting to look at, improved ways of allowing our customers to return their goods. It's not been a priority for us. Our priority has been getting our customers through the pandemic in terms of social distancing and safer ways to shop. But, we are certainly returning this year to think about how we make our returns process better.
No, that's good. Thanks. A question here just came in. Were all salespeople comfortable to try the Go In-Store service? Was there training? Just a comment about, I guess, the setup and the training and people getting comfortable with it.
Yeah, it's a good question because, I think it's one thing, isn't it, jumping on a Teams call at work or a Zoom call with your friends, right? So it's another thing being prepared to be online to complete stranger. And also, let's be honest, right? You're online to a complete stranger. Who knows who else might be, hacking in or watching that call or and so on. So I think it's one where, we didn't pressurize any of our remote shopping assistants to do this, right? It's one that we train them on the technology. We train them on some of the techniques and some of the approaches to showing jewelry. Because even the technique of showing jewelry online, right, is very different from in the store where you can give a customer, a bracelet to try on or a necklace and so on. So, you have to present the jewelry in a certain way. And so we did train on that. And in some ways, that was a more important part of the training than just the technology, which buttons to press. But what we have found is that everybody that is doing this really enjoys it. Because in some ways, it's more rewarding to be spending your day taking video calls and doing signing advice and aspirational stuff than maybe, just ringing up purchases or dealing with returns. So yeah. I'm not saying that's all part and parcel of being a store associate. That's fine, that's their varied job. But yeah, absolutely. Whenever I speak to any of our remote shopping assistants about the technology, about how they're enjoying it, they all really enjoy doing what they're doing, because a customer's not going to want to ask for a video call unless they're interested in looking at the products, apart from those calls which are, I want to return this, or where's my order, in which case, we send them somewhere else. So yeah, I've watched a number of the calls and I've spoken to a number of our remote shopping assistants, and they do enjoy it. And yes, we don't put pressure on them. We do train them, and it's something they've enjoyed doing.
Yeah, and we get the same feedback from all our customers. We do talk to the store associates of our customers, and we get the same feedback across the board, no matter what category they're selling in, that they really enjoy it. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're all a bit more forgiving as well, aren't we, at the moment? Because certainly, in markets like the UK, we now have our remote shopping assistants working from home, and we give some guidelines on that, right? We don't want too much clutter in the background, and you've got to look presentable and so on. Just common sense, right?
Yeah.
But we're all used to cats and dogs and babies and kids and doorbells ringing, aren't we?
Yeah.
Zoom calls. So I think we're all a bit more forgiving, right? So
Yeah, quite.
things that you'd expect in a store environment. I think the feedback we're getting is customers obviously understand that our remote shopping assistants are working from home. They're in their lounge or they're in their study or whatever it is, and things will happen. The doorbell will ring. So I think we're all a bit more relaxed about that, and that's all been part and parcel, I think, of our remote shopping assistants being comfortable, working from home.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. The questions are coming in thick and fast, which is great. So please keep them coming. We've still got a few minutes left. So a question here: would you be showcasing the journey, presumably the customer journey, from browsing to video call assisted sales? Maybe this is this question for me. We can do. It's probably better if you contact Go Instore directly, and we can show you the whole journey. So for everybody online, by all means, you can email me directly on rsourbuts@goinstore.com. We can arrange a demo. We can take you through the whole journey, beginning to end. No problem at all. I hope that answered the question. Going back up to some of the others here. If you could choose one, this is going to be one for you, I think, Ian. If you could choose one, which one of the technologies you've implemented had the most efficient effect on the direct sales turnover, and why?
Okay, so Roger's not going to like this answer because it's not Go Instore. So it is our virtual try-on capability. So this is just the ability to take a picture of your hand or your face, and then to impose rings and bracelets on your wrist or fingers, and earrings and so on your ears. And this is getting a very good take up in terms of the capability, and it's getting a very good conversion rate. And I guess, why is that? Well, it's something you can do really, really quickly. You haven't got to speak to anybody, so you can do it in your own time. You don't have to use your own hand and face, by the way. You can use a stock model, but it's a very, very quick way of seeing the jewelry, on your hand or on your face. And we're experimenting with the technology. We're improving it all the time. So at the moment, we're introducing stackable rings, right? So you can show what 3 or 4 rings look like on a finger, right? You can move the rings, in different positions on your finger. And what we're finding is that not only are we getting good conversion on that, but we're finding that the average online order value increases after a customer has used the virtual try-on. And so our conclusion is that, when customers can see what a product is going to look like on their hand, or on their neck, or on their ears for earrings, then they're more likely and more confident to buy online. So yeah, that is definitely something that we're delighted with in terms of the results. And it's a technology that we'll extend maybe to our bracelet builder. So at the moment, you can build a bracelet online, a bespoke bracelet, but you can't view it on your wrist. So we'll once again stitching all these solutions together. If we can integrate bracelet builder with virtual try-on, then you can build your own bespoke bracelet online, and then you can try it on your wrist, and then you can be much more confident. We might link that as well to online engraving, where you can get your bracelet engraved, and you can decide what font and what message you want to say. View that, see that on your wrist. So gradually, we will stitch all these digital solutions together.
I'm not too upset with the answer, Ian, because we've got virtual try-on our roadmap.
Jolly good, yeah. And once again, in terms of how it stitches, so to make it more seamless, maybe you do try it on virtually,
yeah,
and then maybe you link straight into a video call, or you link straight to booking an appointment.
Yeah. I'm just seeing another message in the chat. Let me just have a quick scroll to make sure I've not missed anything. So I've got one from Catherine Goodman who's saying, how does Go Instore differ from other virtual solutions? We're looking at a few other possibilities, a live agent, a few others. What's the value proposition that Go Instore offers? Maybe if I start off with this one. So we're video first. I know there are a number of sort of semi-comparable solutions out there, but like Pandora, in fact, Pandora, you guys did a split test between us and one of our competitors. Now, we're video first, and the value proposition is we get the best conversion rates in the industry. We also do the most transactions of anybody out there by far. So we're currently transacting about between 20 and 30,000 end customer transactions a day. That's more than anybody. It's more than all of our competitors combined pretty much. And our conversion rates are anything from 20, 25, 30%, sometimes more. Average basket size increase, typically 32% increase, 94% customer satisfaction rate. So we deliver the best ROI of any solution out there, with the most mature, with the most stable platform, with the most scalable platform for enterprise globally. So basically, you know, particularly a pretty big business would be safe in our hands, is the answer. Another question, how customizable is a customer bespoke experience? Not entirely sure I know what you mean, other than if you saw the little video at the beginning and when the box pops up, so for Pandora, that was customized to Pandora's brand, the text in there, what the journey is. If you want to have the option to book an appointment, if you just want a shoulder tap, that's all in there as well. So there's a lot of customizable fields available in the call to action button. Another question, if you're comfortable answering this, Ian, what number of calls are Pandora doing a week on average, and how many sales agents do you have?
Yeah, I can't really reveal the details there, but in each market, we've got 6 or 7 key markets. We have between 2 and 4 sales associates answering calls. The pattern varies in terms of there are times where they're continuously taking calls, and there are times where they're very quiet, and that really follows our web traffic, really, in terms of the profile of our users, you know, through the web day. I think, you know, if the question is somebody that's considering this for their business, then what was very sort of positive about starting the project with Go Instore was that they have got lots of rich data from their existing customers, right? So we were able to model and understand, you know, for each market based on our web traffic, how many remote shop assistants we would need, what would the pattern be through the day, and hence, you know, what our costs were going to be in terms of licensing and so on. So, you know, it's a very transparent sort of setup with Go Instore, really, where, you know, we could model the business, and we're continuing to do that, you know, as we scale our web capability and as we see our web traffic increasing, you know, we scale our remote shopping associate capability accordingly.
Brilliant, thank you. Well, I think that's it in terms of questions. If anybody's got any last minute questions, there's one that just came in on the chat. What if you want to build a new really bespoke product, like unique product the company doesn't have at the moment? I'm not quite sure I understand the question. What if you want to build a bespoke product? Maybe you could clarify that, if you mean a bespoke jewelry product, or you want to build a bespoke Go Instore type product. Yeah. Probably what I'd suggest is that you ping me a mail and we can take this offline, because that's probably a deeper conversation. So say we'll contact everybody, all the attendees anyway. We'll send out the link to the recording of the session, so you can re-listen to this at your leisure. And if you come to our website, obviously you can book a demo or a deeper conversation about this. That's absolutely fine. We're a bit ahead of time, so if there are no more questions, then we can call it a wrap. And I'd just like to thank you, Ian, for your time and participation and patiently answering the questions and the fascinating conversation. And thanks to all the participants here. Thanks very much for spending your time with us, and hope to see you at the next one. And by all means, ping me an email and book a demo, and we'll have a further conversation. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for your time, everybody.
Great.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon. Cheers all. Bye-bye.